I had been babysitting for the Carter family for almost a year. Same house, same routine, same two girls. Their parents trusted me enough to leave without reminders or rules. They paid well, never checked cameras, never called unless they were late. That kind of trust doesn't happen fast. You earn it by showing up on time, smiling, and knowing when to stay quiet. The house was clean in a way that felt practiced, not obsessive. Toys were always put away, furniture stayed in the same places, and nothing felt fragile. It was easy to move through the rooms without thinking. That mattered because thinking too much leads to mistakes. I knew every step between the kitchen and the stairs. I knew which floorboard made noise and which door hinge needed oil. The girls were named Harper and Leela, 8 and 6. Blonde, thin, quiet when their parents were around. They never caused trouble when adults were watching. At least, not the kind of trouble that gets noticed. I'd taken care of them many times before. Movie nights, early dinners, bedtime stories they didn't really listen to, normal stuff. That night started the same way. Their parents left around 7, kissed them goodbye, reminded them to behave, and told me they'd be back before midnight. The door closed, the car pulled away, the house went quiet, that kind of quiet that settles fast and stays. The girls went upstairs without saying much. No running, no laughing, just footsteps. Then a door closing at the end of the hall. I stayed downstairs, giving them space. Kids their age liked pretending they were older. I let it happen. It made things easier. Time passed. I checked my phone, scrolled without reading, listened to the fridge hum. When I got close to 8, I went upstairs to tell them dinner was ready. I knocked once, no answer. I knocked again harder, still nothing. I opened the door. Their room was empty. Beds untouched, window closed, closet door open but nothing missing, shoes still by the wall, jacket still on the hook behind the door. It didn't look like kids sneaking out. It looked like they had never been there. I went through the rest of the house, bathroom, guest room, laundry room. I checked under beds, behind curtains, even places that made no sense. I called their names, first calm, then louder. My voice echoed in the hallway and came back empty. That was when I heard the front door. Not opening, closing. Before I moved, I stood still in the hallway. I needed to be sure. Sounds can play tricks when you're alone in a quiet house. I waited, counting seconds in my head, listening for footsteps or voices. Nothing came. Just the low buzz of the lights. I ran downstairs and pulled the door open. The street was empty, lit by yellow lamps spaced too far apart. At the end of the block, near the small park, I saw movement. 2 small figures running, one slightly behind the other. I stepped outside and called their names. My voice carried farther than I expected. The figures didn't stop, they ran faster. I followed them, shoes slapping against the sidewalk. The park was just a patch of grass, a broken swing set, and a bench with peeling paint. No one was there at that hour. No cars passing, no windows facing it directly. I slowed down as I got closer. Kids don't run like that unless they're scared or playing. This wasn't play. Their shoulders were tense, heads turned back every few steps. They weren't checking for me. They were checking behind me. I called out again, telling them to stop, telling them they were in trouble, telling them their parents would be angry. They didn't slow down. Harper grabbed Leela's hand and pulled her harder, almost dragging her across the grass. I walked faster, not running now, letting them hear my steps, letting them know I was close. I focused on Harper. She was older, stronger, and faster. Leela stumbled more. If I grabbed one, the other would stop. Kids don't leave their siblings behind. They freeze. They always do. I closed the distance step by step. I didn't yell anymore. I asked questions instead. Asked why they were running. Asked what they thought they were doing. Asked who told them to act like this. My voice stayed even. Calm works better than shouting. Harper looked back again. Her face was tight, eyes wide, mouth open like she wanted to scream but didn't dare. She tripped over a patch of uneven dirt and nearly fell. That was enough. I lunged forward and grabbed her arm. My fingers closed tight around her forearm, just below the elbow. She screamed then, high and sharp. Leela stopped and turned, crying, frozen in place. I squeezed harder, not enough to break anything, enough to hurt. I told Harper to call her sister back, told her to say it loud, told her to tell Leela to come closer. She shook her head, crying, trying to pull away. I leaned down and spoke right next to her ear, telling her exactly what would happen if she didn't listen. Slowly, between sobs, she called Leela's name. Leela took a step toward us, then another. She was shaking so hard she could barely stand. That's when I stopped pretending. I let go of Harper's arm and grabbed both of them by the hair, one hand in each fist. I dragged them back toward the house, their feet scraping against the ground, their cries breaking into short gasps. I told them to shut up. I told them neighbors were listening. Inside the house, I slammed the door shut and locked it. I pushed them into the living room and told them to sit. They didn't move fast enough, so I shoved them down myself. Harper tried to get up. I kicked the back of her leg and she fell again. I went to the closet by the stairs and pulled out the wooden stick I kept there. It wasn't hidden well, it didn't need to be. No one ever looked. I held it up so they could see it clearly. I told them I knew everything, that I always knew. I told them their fear wasn't new and neither was mine. I explained how easy it was to make kids quiet, how easy it was to make them behave. I told them they deserved it for trying to run, for thinking they could leave without permission. They ran. Harper pulled Leela up and they bolted toward the kitchen. I swung the stick and hit the wall, splintering the wood. I swung again and knocked over a chair. I didn't hit them, I wanted them moving. I wanted them scared. They slipped on the floor near the back door and barely got it open. I swung once more and hit the doorframe, cracking it. They escaped into the yard, screaming now, not caring who heard. I stood there breathing hard, laughing under my breath. I told myself I'd deal with the neighbors later. Kids lie all the time. Adults don't listen. I didn't go after them. There was no need. I knew where they'd go. Somewhere safe, somewhere loud. I put the stick back in the closet and cleaned what I could. Fixed my hair, changed my shirt. By the time the parents came home, the house looked mostly fine. The police came the next day. They didn't rush in, they knocked. Calm, professional. They asked me to sit down. They asked simple questions. They told me other parents had talked to their kids, that stories matched, that dates lined up. I listened, I nodded. I didn't deny much. There was no point. The charges weren't heavy. Emotional harm is hard to prove. Bruises fade. Kids exaggerate. That's what the system thinks. I was taken away without handcuffs, with no drama, no shouting, just paperwork and quiet disappointment. I didn't get much time. A short sentence, mandatory therapy, a record that followed me everywhere. I'll never babysit again. Not legally. Not in that town.